Hi guys, welcome back to the Baseline. Hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about the betrayal no one wants to admit and how Arab leaders, spyware, and oil fuels Israel's war machine. So quick question guys, what if I told you Israel's war machine couldn't run a single mile without Arab rulers, billion-dollar spyware deals, and oil pipelines that snake right through the Muslim world? Yeah, guys, you heard that right, because stick with me, because by the end of this episode, you'll see exactly how money, drones, spyware, and a whole lot of double dealing have made the Gaza nightmare possible. And maybe, just maybe, you'll never look at Arab rulers the same way again. So what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Baseline again, and thank you again for joining me. I'm glad you showed up today, because this is an episode that's either going to get me sued, canceled, or hopefully maybe just shrugged off by people who pretend the truth is a little bit tough to hear. And if you've been kind of rage scrolling lately or doom scrolling because all of the heartbreak that we've been seeing in Gaza and Iran and Israel, all of it, you're going to want to stay for the last second of this, because there's some really interesting quiet deals, like the hush-hush phone taps, or the oil pipelines and trade routes, and that all keep pushing this genocide machine, and it keeps it humming, man, and all with a little polite handshake and a big fat check. So let's set the scene, okay? Let's start right here. This is the claim that Israel is relentlessly bombing Iran, right? Now listen to that line. It's actually not that true at the moment. At least not the way that people are thinking. Israel does poke Iran's proxy network, like Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, and we know that. Like sabotage, sure. Cyber strikes, sure. And direct open-air bombing runs on Tehran, no, that's not happening at the current moment. Not unless the world suddenly blacked out CNN for fun, which you never know, right? But so park that myth for a moment, but hold up, because the real story here is even a little bit dirtier, because it's not about big bombs on Iran. It's about tiny chips, quiet planes, and silent deals, and how the Arab rulers, the so-called brothers in faith, keep the fuel line to Israel wide open. Now let's start with Egypt. Egypt, the land of pyramids, pharaohs, and Rafah crossings, so tight you think Gaza was a prison on the moon. Now, Egypt has run shotgun with Israel for decades, blocking tunnels, policing crossings, and when desperate Palestinians tried to flee the rubble, guess who demanded bribes? It was Egyptian middlemen and businessmen tied to the regime, shaking down families for every last dollar just to get a dying kid across the gate. Now, yeah, that's the brotherhood. So when you hear something like Arab solidarity, I think people should be asking Egypt, what about that 10% cut they took at the border? Now, Jordan is next up. The king's out there playing peacemaker, hosting summits, calling for ceasefires. But when Iranian drones drift his way, guess who scrambles the jets? It's Jordan. Jordan shooting them down before they can scratch Israel's glass bubble. So the drones vanish, Israel sleeps easy, and Palestinians, man, they just keep dying. And the king, he's still the nice moderate on CNN. And oh, there's this so-called land bridge idea, right? Routes through Jordan that help Israel dodge Yemen's Houthi sea blockades. Hard proof? Thin, but you better believe the big trucks keep rolling, because you can blockade a port, but roads don't get headlines. Now, this brings us to the Saudi and Kushner $2 billion pipeline deal. So let's spice it up just for a bit. Bring in America's favorite son-in-law, right? Jared Kushner. The man got a $2 billion check from Saudi for his private fund, Affinity Partners. $2 billion. Now, guess what that shiny new fund did? It cracked open investments inside Israel's shipyards, holding companies, big chunks of the same industrial bones that make up the Israeli military supply chain. Now, I'm not saying Kushner's out here packing grenades, but when Gulf royals bankroll Israeli shipbuilders and defense firms, trust me, a part of every bomb dropped on Gaza has an oil fingerprint on it. Now, which kind of brings us to this, right? The UAE, and they're like the friends with benefits. Now, if we talk about Dubai, for instance, the glittering playground, millions go for shopping, malls, and man-made islands, and little selfie here and a little Bugatti there. Meanwhile, the Edge Group, the UAE's state-owned arms giant, is literally building drones with Israel. And they're connecting with their aerospace industries. They even carved out a company, Elbit Systems Emirates, planted right in the Gulf, making Israeli weapons on Arab soil. And they didn't stop at drones, guys. UAE owns a piece of Third Eye Systems, which makes Ghost Soldier AI tech that helps ground troops inside Gaza move and kill more efficiently. And guess what? The value of Third Eye shot up by 51% mid-genocide. Good business if you don't mind blood on the dividends. But maybe the juiciest twist is actually digital. You know, the big brother in your pocket bit. Because Saudi, UAE, even Pakistan, all lining up for Israel spyware. The NSO group celebrate, the tools that turn your phone into a personal spy device. These regimes used Israeli code to monitor activists, journalists, random citizens. They used it on Jamal Khashoggi before he walked into that Saudi consulate and never walked out. Now, the Saudis didn't just shake hands with Mossad. They outsourced their dirty work. And while they say free Palestine on TV, they cut the check for the same Israeli ex-cyber spooks that keep the occupation humming. Now, what's Turkey's double game in all this? Now, if we go back to Turkey and we talk about Erdogan and Mr. Champion of Palestine, except Turkey trades oil that fuels 40% of Israel's supply. Pipeline runs from Azerbaijan through Turkey straight into Israeli power stations. Now, could Turkey choke that pipeline tomorrow? Absolutely. Did they? Nope. And while Erdogan's government loves to talk about boycotts, Turkish ships quietly flip their antennas and sneak goods into Ashdod and Hafif. One Turkish journalist even claimed Erdogan's own son was shipping cargo right through the blockade while Gaza was burning. Now, 4,000 Turkish citizens fighting for the IDF, let's call that a rumor sauce. Likely inflated, right? But the oil, the trade, that's real money. Now, Indonesia, Pakistan, and the silent leak that exists there. What about Indonesia? Biggest Muslim country on earth. Pro-Palestine all day long. But the spyware leaks, they don't lie. So NSO, Kangaroo, Wintego, Israeli tech firms that have wormed their way into Indonesia's security agencies, no street protests going to clean that code out for a government server. And then we start talking about Pakistan. Same rumor, right? Celebrite contracts to hack their own people's phones. Now, there are rumors, there's no smoking gun, but enough smoke to make you cough a little bit, right? So which leads us to our next story, right? Which we all saw, which was Greta versus, the generals. Now, here's the kicker. Greta Thunberg, a Swedish teen willing to sail the ocean, break a blockade, deliver a bag of flour to Gaza. That's pretty out there, right? No army, no oil, just a kid with a conscience. And people can argue whether it's good or bad, but she did do it. And meanwhile, a region with the world's biggest armies, paramilitary networks, can't do what a 20-year-old did with a dinghy and a camera crew? So tell me in the comments who you think is braver, the billion-dollar kings or the controversial girl in that raincoat. So here's the real takeaway, guys. I'm not here to feed conspiracy soup. I'm just trying to remind us of something worse, that the truth isn't hidden, it's just being ignored. Pipelines, spyware, trade deals, investment funds, all out in the open if you look. And if you don't look, they keep winning. So I guess we're just left to challenge ourselves, right? The next time we hear a leader that says free Palestine, especially in the Arab world, it's important to check their trade ledger. And next time you see a drone over Gaza, ask where the AI actually came from. And when someone says it's complicated, tell them no, it's not. It's just corruption. It's corrupt. Now, reading all this stuff, it's rattled me. I don't know if it's rattled you. I want you to let me know whether you think I'm right or wrong. And fact check me and see if you come up with the same conclusions that I did. Anywho, guys, thank you so much for joining the Baseline. Remember, we succeed only when we see more clearly, think more deeply, and act more wisely together. And I appreciate you joining me, and we'll catch you on the next round of the Baseline. Cheers, everybody.